Jake Matthews had always been shy. Not the kind of shy where someone just avoids eye contact or stammers a little. Jake's shyness was all-consuming. He was the type of person who rehearsed every sentence 10 times in his head before speaking it out loud, who would walk an extra 2 blocks to avoid saying hi to someone he knew, and who would rather stay silent than raise his hand, even when he had the right answer. At 27 years old, his life felt more like a cage than a journey. Jake worked as a junior software developer in a mid-sized company in Austin, Texas. His job was mostly remote, and when he had to go into the office, he'd quietly enter, nod at the receptionist, and slip into his corner without much more than a few mumbled greetings. His teammates were nice enough, but they didn't know much about him, and that was exactly how Jake preferred it. Or so he thought. Everything began to change one rainy afternoon. Jake was scrolling through YouTube, aimlessly watching motivational videos, productivity hacks, and self-help speeches that all sounded the same. That's when a thumbnail caught his eye. Shyness and fear will end forever. Just practice this for 3 days. Something about the confidence in the title drew him in. He clicked. A calm voice came through the speakers. You're not broken. You've simply trained your brain to hide from the world. But if you commit to these 3 simple practices for just 3 days, morning, noon, and night, you can untrain that fear. You can rebuild who you are. Jake listened. It wasn't flashy. There were no gimmicks. No one was selling a course or pushing a product. Just 3 exercises, backed by a bit of neuroscience, some storytelling, and a lot of sincerity. The narrator called it the mirror method. That night, Jake stood in front of the bathroom mirror, heart racing like he was about to go on stage in front of thousands. He felt ridiculous. But he looked into his own eyes and said aloud, Jake Matthews, you matter. Your words matter. Your thoughts matter. You are safe to be seen. You are safe to be heard. He repeated the words slowly 3 times. His voice was shaky. He almost laughed at himself, but he didn't. The second practice was equally strange. The narrator had said, find 1 stranger a day and say 1 sentence. It doesn't matter what. Just initiate. Jake grimaced. That sounded like asking someone with a fear of heights to jump off a cliff. But the next morning when he walked into the coffee shop down the street, he saw the barista. Her name tag read Amber. Jake took a breath and said, Hey, I really like how you decorated the counter with fall leaves. Looks cozy. Amber looked up surprised, then smiled. Oh, thanks. I just put that up yesterday. You're the first to notice. Jake left the coffee shop with a strange feeling. His face was red, his palms were sweaty, but inside something sparkled. He had initiated. He had spoken. By the end of day 1, he had done all 3 exercises. Mirror affirmations, 1 stranger conversation, and a journaling prompt. What would I do today if I had 0 fear? He wrote, I'd ask my team lead if I could present my idea in Monday's meeting instead of emailing it. I'd maybe talk to Heather from marketing. Just ask her how her day's going. Day 2 was harder. The motivation had worn off a bit, and the self-doubt crept in. The mirror exercise felt forced, and Jake fumbled his sentence to a passerby in the elevator. Nice, shoes, he muttered. But the woman smiled politely. Thanks, she said, then got off on the next floor. It wasn't magical, but it was something. That night, Jake sat with his journal and wrote, I'd go to lunch with my team instead of eating alone at my desk. The next day was Friday, the last day of the challenge. Jake stared at himself in the mirror that morning. His voice didn't shake this time. It was still weird, but there was power in seeing his own reflection while speaking kindness to himself. 4 years, his inner dialogue had been cruel, calling himself awkward, useless, invisible. This was the first time in ages he was rewriting that script. At the office, his moment came unexpectedly. His team lead, a man named Derek, stopped by Jake's desk. Hey, got any updates on the client app dashboard? We're doing sprint reviews Monday. Jake swallowed hard. His instinct was to say, I'll email you the summary. But then he remembered what he'd written in his journal. So instead he said, Actually, I was wondering if I could present the new design myself on Monday? Derek raised his eyebrows slightly. Sure. You feel ready? Jake nodded. Yeah. I'd like to explain a couple of UX tweaks I made. All right, Derek said. Looking forward to it. Jake felt his pulse in his ears, but he didn't collapse. He didn't panic. He smiled. Later that afternoon, he saw Heather from marketing by the water cooler. His hands twitched and he almost walked past, but then he turned. Hey, Heather. I saw your email about the new ad layout. Really sharp design. Heather looked surprised. Oh, thanks, Jake. That means a lot. And just like that, the third day came to a close. Jake didn't become a completely different person in 3 days. He didn't suddenly turn into a public speaker or the most charming guy in the office. But what he did gain was a feeling he hadn't felt in years. Control. He realized that shyness and fear weren't fixed traits. They were habits. And like any habit, they could be replaced, with small actions repeated consistently. Jake kept practicing the mirror method long after those 3 days. He even shared it with his younger brother, who was going through a rough patch in high school. He shared it with his therapist. Eventually, he wrote a blog post about his experience. That blog post went semi-viral. People from around the world messaged him, thanking him for articulating something they had struggled with for years. And on one particularly surreal day, he was invited to do a short TEDx talk at a local university on overcoming shyness through small, intentional actions. Standing backstage, Jake closed his eyes and repeated his mirror mantra one more time. Jake Matthews, you matter. Your words matter. You are safe to be seen. You are safe to be heard. When he walked out on that stage, he wasn't fearless. But he was ready. And that made all the difference.